Welcome to the 6 Feet Ahead podcast, a podcast for funeral homes. Today's guest is Jonathan Kepner, a fifth generation funeral director and co-owner of Raymer Kepner Funeral Home and Cremation Services in North Carolina. Jonathan blends deep family tradition with entrepreneurial spirit as the owner of Romeo's Pizza and a trusted leader in independent funeral service. Join us as we explore his journey in legacy, innovation, and service in the funeral industry. Jonathan, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Oscar. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So let's begin talking about your journey into your funeral home. I know that your family has been in the funeral business now for 5 generations. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, our business was established up in Wheeling, West Virginia in 1845 by then two generational family. We bought out, my great-great-grandfather did. So I am a fifth generation out of Wheeling, West Virginia. Then I moved down here to North Carolina in 2012.
Wow. So did you always know that you wanted to be part of the family tradition?
Yeah, I went back and forth. I get that question all the time because growing up in the business, obviously I've been around it my whole life. And I went into coaching a little bit, coached football for a little bit, and then I always had this calling and this pull towards the family business. Yep.
All right, nice. So I'm just curious, what core values did you learn growing up in a funeral service family? Like how do those values shape the way that you approach your work as a funeral director?
Yeah, I think as far as the core values, I think just taking care of our community where we live. It was my dad and grandfather and uncle always instilled that in us that we're a very important role to our community. We need to serve them with dignity and respect. And that's as you're growing up, you keep that in the back of your mind. I think it keeps you out of trouble a little bit. But those are the core values that were instilled in me.
That's awesome. Working as a funeral director means that you're working with families through some pretty heavy days. One of the things that I'd like to ask you is, how do you deal with this emotionally? How do you deal with this personally? This is a big emotional weight that's on you.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite questions because I think it's super important. I try to instill this in not only my family that works with me, but also our team. It's super important in my mind to try and leave what we do here at the funeral home, leave it here. And then when we get home at night, it's family time. And then what I do every morning, I get up and I break my sweat. I go and I work out. I'm very into fitness and health. And I think that it plays a major role in being able to get my mind, having the right mindset to serve the families that we serve here at the funeral home. So that's basically what I do to prepare myself for this type of work.
All right, that's cool. Curious, like as far as changes in the funeral service, you grew up around this. You've probably seen it evolve. Things are definitely not the same today as they were in the past.
Oh yeah. Yeah. As you see behind me, all these urns, I'm in our urn selection room. That's not what I grew up doing. So we grew up when I first got my license, we were working burial services up in West Virginia 4, 5, 6 times a week during the week. And that's to move down here in North Carolina where it's a higher transient area and higher cremation population. It's very different. And it's definitely changed since when I was growing up in the business.
So, would you say that you guys have met those needs, adapted and innovated them by offering more cremation? Or do you guys also have your own crematory?
Yeah, we do. So when we purchased the Raymer Funeral Home in 2011, they did not have a crematory because the cremation rate just wasn't worth it. But when we moved down, the trend was just climbing yearly at a pretty high percentage. So we invested in 2012 in our own crematory. We also have our own crematory in West Virginia as well, but that brings a comfort out for these families knowing that their loved one, they hear it all the time in the industry, but once their loved one's in our care, this is where they remain and they're safe with us throughout the whole process.
That's amazing. All right. And then, so what for those people who are listening to this or watching it, there may be people out there who are not in the funeral business, right? And could you talk a little bit to the advantage to actually having your own crematory on site?
Is it what now?
Uh,
Having that?
having your own crematory on site, what's the advantage? Like you just mentioned
Yeah.
that the person is always in your care. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people out there who are probably, they'll pick up the phone, they'll ask about cremation, pricing, but they
Hmm.
don't know who they're talking to and they don't understand what the process is behind that. So would you be willing to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, yeah. And that's one of our things here at the funeral home is just transparency. We want to build trust with our community and be as transparent as anybody can be in this industry. And that means offering such things as witnessing a cremation. So if the family wants to be there from the very beginning stages and having their final farewell with their family member, all the way to walking them back to the actual crematory, to the machine, and being there at the beginning stages. Now, that's not for everybody, but we have found that brings comfort to a lot of people that need that closure. Because there's stories in the news, there's in every industry, there's always a bad apple that can really ruin a reputation for an industry. But being transparent with these families, they really do, some of them really do find comfort knowing that, yes, we have our own crematory, and yes, we want you to be there back in the actual room if you would like to be.
Nice, nice. All right, now I understand. Let's talk a little bit about your involvement in the community. I know that you've been active in the community. For instance, you've even delivered lunch to hospice caregivers as a way to give back. So I'd like to ask you, why is community involvement important to you? And how does being engaged with the community really impact your work at the funeral home?
Yeah, yeah. So we owning a pizza shop is pretty nice. I can provide lunch to the people that we work with often. And some of the families, actually, some of the families that I've sat down with, made arrangements with, I would send them pizza, send them dinner that night so they didn't have to think about food. But yeah, the community and building trust in the community, that's everything. So getting out there, letting people get to know you, to know who you are, no fakeness, if you will. And so they know when they walk into the funeral home, they know what to expect. They know what they're going to get with myself, my family, and our team.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about the pizza. Like you mentioned owning pizza. I understand that you run a local Romeo's Pizza franchise. Is that right?
Yeah, invested in Romeo's Pizza last year. We're coming up on a year anniversary.
Oh,
Um,
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. It's been a bumpy ride for sure. It's been a great learning experience. Very different from the funeral home. It's been a blast, but it's yeah, that's another way that I get into the community and people seem to they're more, how should I word this? They're happier to see me at the pizza shop than when they walk into the funeral home, if that makes sense. So it's fun meeting people on a different playing field, if you will.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
So do you find, so there must be like a connection then between running a pizza business and serving families in the funeral home. Like you said, one of the things that you do sometimes is that you send out a meal to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, so some of the families we'll get to talking and I'll say, yeah, actually, I'm involved in a pizza shop in Davidson where the college is. And they're like, oh, we live there. And it just leads into me. I'm going to send you dinner tonight. And yeah, so that's been a really cool aspect of the whole thing.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit about the future. It sounds like you've seen evolution in this business. Where do you think it's headed? What changes do you see coming?
Yeah, another great question. That's we've lately we've offered a couple different services. And I think as far as cremation, I think it's going to get, for example, we had the parting stones. They were on Shark Tank. That seems to be catching people's attention. Also, the aquamation is a pretty cool conversational piece with families. Water-based cremation through alkaline hydrolysis. I see that it's more of a green option. It's a greener option, better for the environment, which I think more people are more environmentally conscious about that. And I think the receptions and celebrations we're going to be seeing is going to be pretty awesome to watch, if you will. More people celebrating their life. Still keeping God at the center, but also realizing that we want to celebrate our loved one. Let's get it catered. Let's get beer. Let's get wine. Let's get pop. Whatever the individuals liked. I think we're going to see more and more of that.
Yeah, I've actually on the podcast, I've interviewed quite a few people who've talked to that point. Yesterday, I actually had a conversation with a woman named Jennifer Muldowney, and she is a funeral planner. Like you're like a wedding planner. She's a
Yeah, yeah,
funeral planner. And I'd
very
never heard
cool.
of that. But she has some really I guess, different types of funerals, life celebrations. I've also had Lene Strovers on. She's a funeral director, and she's also with the NFDA, and also has done some very innovative types of memorials.
Very
Joseph,
cool.
yeah, Joe Prey as well. He's another funeral director that we've had on the podcast who's also spoken to us about a very different way of doing things. And we really do think that being different is like the way of the
Yeah.
future, the way to go. I would say it would be being different and also being transparent, right?
Amen.
So,
Amen. Do you know Lisa Bowie?
no,
So
no.
she had a big firm out in Middle West. She's involved with Selected Independent. My family's known her for a long time, but she is, I remember her, we were at a Selected event and she said, it's not necessarily the funeral home down the street that's going to be your competition. It's going to be your wedding planners. It's going to be your event spaces, things like that. She said, that is what the future is going to hold is you're going to be competing or not, well, yeah, competing to hold events at your funeral home. So people just come here, one-stop shop, if you will, versus going out to these events because that's what's going to be happening a lot.
Yeah, and I know that just with a change in lighting, you can transform a space. So there
Yes.
could definitely be a move. There definitely, I believe there will be a movement towards all kinds of different things that could happen. And from my point of view, and I don't know if you've given this any thought, what about the use of AI? Have you considered like how AI could help you come up with ideas for a different type of service?
AI is something that I'm trying to stay on top of. I'm trying to make sure that I am riding that wave to better our business or how we can utilize AI. So I'm doing a lot of research on that as well.
Any ideas? What kind of like what are you finding with AI?
Like the obituary thing, that's very beginner is what I found out. Even though the tool for the obituaries on especially our website with Tukio's fantastic. I sit down with families absolutely love it. I'll ask the family a couple questions, fill out the questionnaire, read it back to them, and it's super powerful. As far as that, how you prompt when you're asking ChatGPT or Grok, whatever you use, as far as marketing strategies, as far as recruiting, want to build the team that you want to build that that's going to serve your community the best. I think that's going to be pretty powerful just moving forward with AI.
Yeah, I think that's going to be huge. I think operational efficiency as well.
Yeah.
Like
Trainings
it'll
for your staff. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I think it'll be able to free up more time
Yes.
for the funeral director, for the owners. Even I ran into and I forgot the name, but I read about it recently, a company that's developed or has developed some AI that will actually request the death certificates for you. It will
Oh,
even
wow.
it'll dial out, it'll do everything that you need in order to get that.
Wow. And I look forward to it. I know I look forward to it.
Yeah, no, yeah. There's definitely a lot of change that's coming. When we talk about AI, I hear a lot of people talk about like how I would say many jobs are going to be eliminated. I do believe that they will be. But when I think about the work that is done in a funeral home, I think that personal touch work will continue to exist. That is the wave of the future. It's actually analog. It's funny. The future is actually in being analog. It's actually in being in person, creating a relationship with people. Yeah, we have exciting times ahead. So let's talk about your future goals. What are your future goals for you and for the funeral home? And where do you see the business in the next 5 to 10 years? It's really good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the future. Looking ahead, what are your future goals, both for yourself and for your funeral home? Where do you see the business, say, in the next 5 to 10 years? And are there any new projects or visions on the horizon that you're excited about?
Yeah. Personally, my goal is to be just the best husband and dad that I can be. That's God's number one in my family. But as far as business wise, it's going to be very exciting in the future. We have some renovation ideas that we're going to be leaning into, possible acquisition down the road to expand our business, to expand our brand. We believe with our systems and our team, and it's a family that we work with. Even though we're not blood related, this is just how we act as a staff, as a team. The pet side, there could be some possible pet cremation opportunities down the road. Succession planning, like I said, with my dad and uncle, there's a lot of things happening in the next 5 years that I'm really looking forward to down the road.
Yeah, right now what we're seeing is I'm following the business trends in the funeral business. I don't like to say industry because I found out that's controversial. So I say the funeral profession.
Sure. Yeah.
But one of those things is consolidation. I noticed that the more expansion and consolidation of a funeral home of a brand, it seems to be the wave of the future, right?
Yeah.
So as you acquire new funeral homes, making those types of moves, it's like playing chess, right? Making those are the kinds of moves that are going to build the moat that you need as things change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with this baby boomer generation, and sometimes the owners don't have family going in, that's their only option, either to shut the doors or to sell to a conglomerate or maybe a family owned firm that plans on buying a bunch. And with 18,000 plus funeral homes out there, that is going to be very interesting to watch in the next 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jonathan, if anybody wants to find out more about you, more about your funeral home, more about your businesses and what you've got going on, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, so always can reach out here at the funeral home. Our website is Kepner FH. That's KEPNER FH.com. Or I'm trying to build my personal brand on social media, if you will. It's at Jonathan Kepner on Instagram and then Jonathan Kepner on Facebook. Can DM me anytime, reach out to me. I'm here to help, here to serve, here to create as much value as I can for anybody that has any questions about anything.
Awesome. Jonathan, thanks so much, man. Wishing you the best.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, Oscar.
Bye bye.